Our next guest is a writer for Upworthy.com, where she writes about trending stories, culture, LGBT issues, politics, and more. Her work has also appeared at the New York Times, Rolling Stone, The Guardian, Glamour, and Playboy.com, among other outlets. She lives just a few blocks from here with her dog and her fiance, and she's looking forward to hopping right into bed and falling asleep as soon as this is over. Please give a warm welcome and a welcome back to Parker Malloy.
Good. Hey everyone. So what I'm gonna read doesn't have anything to do with robots, nor are there zombies. It's just some stuff that I jotted down in my cell phone and decided to bring here to everyone. It's about transgender kids. So here we go. This case is brought by girls and boys who are in a state of near constant anxiety, stress, and embarrassment because their school forces them to use the restroom and locker room with opposite-sex students. They must perform their most intimate bodily functions knowing that the opposite-sex classmates may be present, and so may be able to see them and hear them. And it is even worse for the girls, for they must also use the locker room with a biological male. They must change their clothes knowing at times that he is present. When they shower, they do so knowing that he could be nearby. Their dignity is violated. Their modesty is stripped away. They are embarrassed and afraid. See, that sounds pretty intense, right? And that's actually an actual opening of a motion seeking to suspend an Illinois school district's restroom policy for transgender students. And it's just like, wow, you really hate kids. So I read that and I'm filled with my own state of near constant anxiety, stress, and embarrassment because I'm a transgender person. Now, I didn't come out as trans when I was 5 or 7 or 13 or 22 even. I came out as trans to my then partner in 2012 at the age of 26. This isn't to say that I wasn't aware that I was transgender at those ages. I certainly knew something was different about me. My fear was that if I told anybody about that, I'd be punished by my school or my parents or my friends, so I didn't. I kept to myself. I kept thinking, this will go away, this will be different, this will be fine. It wasn't. So then I fell into a deep depression. I was in high school when my parents first put me in touch with a therapist. As was the case with everybody else in my life, I was too afraid to tell them about what I'd come to think of as my gender issues. Everything is fine, I said. I don't know why my parents insisted we meet up. Months later, I closed my eyes, took my foot off the brake in my 97 Saturn, and just hoped for the best, or worst, however you think of it. I totaled the car, crashing into a pickup truck in front of me. The airbag went off, bruising my face and blacking out my eyes. I failed. I fucked up. So I kept quiet. I kept isolated after that. In college, I continued to keep my quiet, hiding my gender issues more and more. For the second time, I tried to kill myself, this time with a handful of pills and a whole lot of alcohol. I woke up on the floor of my dorm room, drenched in sweat and covered in vomit. So long pills. I fucked up. And so at 26, once I was financially independent from my parents, once I was prepared to lose everything and everyone in my life, I came to terms with myself just shy of what would have been my third suicide attempt. I probably would have fucked that up too. So I lost 2 decades of my life to self-loathing and fear that I'd be shunned by the adults in my life. One of the only consolations that I had was that I knew things would be better for future generations. Or so I thought. Reading about the very public, very hateful rejection of trans students across the country, especially in places like North Carolina, I feel like it's actually gotten worse for this generation. I feel like while I was afraid I'd be rejected, these children know for a fact they'll be rejected. They're being told that they're broken, that they're perverts, that they're wrong for existing. They're being told by their parents, their teachers, even by presidential candidates. Some will argue that making it clear that they, as trans kids, won't be accepted, they'll learn to love themselves or something of the sort. That's just not how it works. So I know this from experience. They'll learn to hate themselves. They'll get tired. They'll get distant. They'll get depressed. Many will wind up dead. Others will, like me, end up simply scarred for life, looking through lost years. All this for the fucking bathroom. But really, let's look at the argument that's being made by the bathroom warriors on the religious right against transgender kids. 1, they say that by allowing trans kids the ability to use restrooms that match their gender identity, they'll be encroaching on other students' privacy. There's this fear that some girl might see a penis or a boy might see a vulva, but when you use the restroom stall especially, if you're typically seeing anybody's genitals other than your own, and I'm sorry to inform you that you are restrooming wrong. If that's the case, then I'm afraid to share, then it's you I'm afraid to share a bathroom with, because you're the pervert. 2, they say that students who aren't trans will pretend to be trans for the sake of accessing the other gender's restrooms and locker rooms. They say that students who aren't trans will pretend to be simply so they can dominate in grade school and high school athletics, even setting aside the fact that A, in all the school districts around the country with millions of students, that's never once happened. And B, the second half of that's the plot of the movie Ladybugs. And so I have to ask, do the adults pushing the anti-trans agenda remember what it's like to be a kid in high school? Because last I checked, being trans didn't exactly earn you any cool points with the popular kids or a hot date to prom. Just earned you a shit ton of harassment from others. So, and 3, they argue that trans kids and their teens are too young to go on 100% reversible puberty blockers, which, as you may guess, block the body's naturally occurring puberty from happening. Instead, insisting that they undergo a 100% irreversible puberty, giving trans girls stereotypically masculine features and trans boys feminine features. And once these kids grow up, these same people are standing there arguing that trans women are scary, hulking men in dress type creatures. Which you just made us do that. And thereby scary. Something that could have been prevented, had they had access to puberty blockers when they were kids. All this for a fucking bathroom? All this for a fucking bathroom. That's it.